Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. We'll begin with a short prayer, as always, and a salute to our flag. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Please be seated. Statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 10th day of October, 2023 has been posted and advertised in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Here.
Conti.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Anoha.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Zabrowski.
Before we move forward with the approval of our prior minutes, I'd like to just take a moment collectively together as a council governing body and as a community here in Saraville and bow our heads for a moment of silent and reflective prayer as our country and the world right now watches what is occurring across the country and across the world. Let our hearts and our thoughts be with those that have lost loved ones and that right now are suffering is in Israel, and also those in Ukraine and others that are right now facing terrorism, fear, and continued loss of life. Thank you all. May peace be with everybody, and may we see an end to these conflicts quickly. With that being said, I'll ask for the approval of prior minutes of the mayor and council. Council President, can you hear me, please? Would you please do the approval of prior minutes?
I can, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve with subject to correction if necessary, September 26, 2023, regular and agenda sessions.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Anoha.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
At this time, we do have a proclamation presentation, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask that we actually postpone this celebration and the proclamation for honoring our Melrose Firehouse of 100th year anniversary, 100th year anniversary. So that way we can make sure that as many members as possible from the firehouse can be present with us. Any objection? Wonderful. With that, we're going to move on then to our old business, public hearing on the following ordinances, please, Jess.
Ordinance number 32-23, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 2 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 2-51, Saraville Economic and Redevelopment Agency.
So at this time, I'll open to the public for any and all comments regarding this particular ordinance only. Please stand, come forward, or raise your hand online. I see only 8, no one on. With no comments at this time, I'll entertain a motion from Administration and Finance Committee. Councilman Balca.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Anoha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski. We need to table ordinance 33-23 as we had to make a change and it's being introduced below.
Motion to
Let her
table.
just pull it.
No, we have to table it.
Table, do we have a motion to table?
So moved.
So move, is there a second? Okay, thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Novak.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Anoha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Okay, under new business, we have several ordinances for introduction. Jessica, please.
Ordinance number 34-23, an ordinance supplementing and amending ordinance 4436-19, fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the year 2022.
Administration and Finance, please. Councilman Balca.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Anoha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski. Ordinance number 35-23, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 8 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 8-3 peddlers and hawkers.
At this time, we'll once again turn this over to Administration and Finance. Councilman Balca.
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on October 23rd, 2023.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Enoha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Ordinance number 36-23, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 2 Administration of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to establish Section 2-68 restricted areas in buildings where municipal operations are conducted.
And let's go for the trifecta. Councilman Balca, one more time.
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on October 23rd, 2023.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Enoha.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move to the resolutions. At this time, I will ask Council President Enoha. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just reading something very quickly. Yes, I'm sorry. Before we turn it over to Council President, I will open to the public for any and all comments regarding the consent agenda resolutions only. Please come forward if you have any questions or comment. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square. During other sections of previous meetings, I've talked about the streetlight problem.
Yes.
But this is on agenda items only. So the first item on the agenda is the resolution approving bills for
Mhm.
payment.
Mhm.
So I'm going to change my approach to talking about how unsafe it is to have streetlights and talk about the fact that we pay for streetlights. They're not metered, so we pay whether they are on or off, working or not. And we pay about $500,000 a year to JCP&L. And there's a bill for them almost every month on the bill list. And in order for that bill to be paid, the claimant, the vendor, JCP&L, has to sign a certification and declaration that says, I do solemnly declare and certify under penalties of the law that the within bill is correct in all its particulars, that the articles have been furnished or services rendered as stated therein. And the officer certification, and I understand with respect to streetlights, the officer that signs off is the business administrator. And he signs a certification that says, I, having knowledge of the facts, certify that the materials and supplies have been received or the services rendered. Said certification being based on signed delivery slips or other reasonable procedures. We're paying for something we're not getting. And I've been talking about this since June, July. At one point, the administrator said, I don't know what to do about this unless the council authorizes me to not pay the bills. Well, I think maybe we should, I think it was Mr. Olszewski said, we should contact the Board of Public Utilities. We should contact Speaker Coughlin. He's got some pull. We're paying for something that we're not getting. And our administrator is signing a voucher to allow for that payment. I would suggest that we approach this from a fiscal standpoint, from a financial standpoint, and not pay for services we aren't getting. And maybe that is the way. And you know, Miss Tina Early was here a few times. I don't fault her. That's not her job to go up on polls. She seems sincere. We've exchanged a number of emails. I thought she wanted to be helpful. And then she talked about, well, we had that storm a few weeks ago. Okay, we understood that. Then she talked about some of these are on main roads like Washington Road and Main Street. And we can't just go put a truck there on a busy road like that because it's unsafe. Well, I copied the chief on my response there and said, you know, Verizon wired a good portion of the town. They put trucks on those roads and they had officers out there and there was no problem. I think if JCP&L wants to, If they contact the police department, I'm sure of it. Maybe they have to pay. Maybe that's the issue. But these, and how ironic that her argument, and I don't mean to fault her or be sarcastic because truly she was lovely and sincere, but how ironic that her argument is some of these lights that are out are on busy roads. Yeah, that's the point.
Agreed.
That's why they're lights and they should be working. I sent an email about, I saw where a kid, there were two lights on Ernstine Road next to one another. And there was a kid almost hit by a bike. There was an accident over the weekend on Main Street. I Oprah'd, and I saw that an attorney who's filing suit requested information about street lights that were out in the vicinity of, ironically, Bright Street, because I'm assuming he has a client that was injured and they want to know if the lights were out. And
Bright Street was bright.
so we could be a party to some of those suits. So,
Absolutely.
you know, a lot of different approaches have been taken, and now I'm suggesting maybe the pocketbook approach is the right way, and maybe we stop paying these bills to get their attention so that they do what they ought to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Jim. Any other comments on consent agenda resolutions before I make comment and idea that I have in reference to the lighting? I don't see any others when it comes to this resolution, consent agenda resolution items. Can I get a motion then to accept consent agenda resolution items for approval?
If we agree not to pay JCP&L.
Well, I wanted to, so
The
we can
motion's
have
gotta
that
include
discussion
that.
before we close. So, listen, Jim, I couldn't agree with you more. We were very patient, I felt, and I appreciated Tina coming to our meeting and speaking with us, not once, but twice, and also working with our BA and residents that had questions. But at the end of the day, really not much has been accomplished. It took them 3 weeks and we had only minimal repairs done. And quite frankly, I actually think that more lights have gone out since then.
Yeah.
With the change in the weather and you know, winter coming, it's also getting darker out a lot earlier, which is also making for this an even more dangerous circumstance. More kids are out every single day just because the sun is going down. We have football, we have soccer, we have a lot of young people on the road. This is unacceptable at this point. One of the things that I find funny is that they asked us to be patient because they needed to do emergency repairs as a result of storms. Well, if you can turn around and get hundreds of thousands of residents back online after a storm, then I think you need to use that same amount of urgency when you have a town with the significant number of outages that we do. And we have been patient for more than a year. I don't think that we have any additional recourse at this point to really implore JCP&L that we're not kidding. We need to be a priority. We have been patient, and at this point, we are paying you for a service that we are not receiving. And I don't like paying for things that I'm not getting. And I think that we're at that point where the council needs to make that decision of whether or not we need to pull back on payment until we get what our residents need, which is light. So anybody from the council wish to add? And is there anything from our attorney?
Yep.
Go ahead, Sal.
I would just note that I've been in contact with the business administrator about this issue. And I believe we're still trying to locate what form of an agreement there is between the borough and JCP&L as far as them providing the service of, you know, the electrical services in town. I'm assuming it's, you know, probably on parchment paper ripped up somewhere because it's so old. However, I will.
Joey's saying it might be in your office.
That's very well possible.
Very possible.
So with that being said, I would just caution the council to say that before making any formal decision to withhold pay, you allow my office in conjunction with the BA's office to try to locate this agreement. And if we can't locate the agreement, we just for purposes of, you know, what are the repercussions in this situation as to if we withhold payment, we would technically be in default potentially of this agreement, and what the repercussions of that would be, you know, because it stems down to not only, you know, the council and the borough generally, but the residents as well. So, if I am directed to take certain action tonight, I can do that. I would just ask that, with the caveat that we have additional time to explore this, try to find the agreement, and if, perhaps elevate whom we're speaking to. I know that without getting into too many specifics, there were discussions about perhaps just going over and above whom are the rep and reaching out, to the general counsel of JCP&L and potentially the president or, chief operating officer of JCP&L to, again, go escalate the issue and express what you just said, Mayor, is that the borough has had enough. This needs to be addressed.
So you're saying that we should approve the bill list today and then authorize you to take this to a higher level?
So it's a policy decision. I can't tell you one way or the other. I would just say that as I sit here today, I can't tell you from a legal standpoint what the full implications of not paying your bill to JCP&L would have on the borough at this juncture.
Okay.
I do know that the borough generally has an obligation to pay its bills on time. But from that standpoint, I would just caution the council that we, at this point, I can't give you a legal determination one way or not.
Have one by the next meeting?
I can do my best to absolutely do so. And at worst case, if we can't find an agreement, we can at least take steps, if the council authorizes it, to reach out to the general counsel of JCP&L and whomever may be on their
How about we
executive
do
board.
Let's do
everything,
both.
all of the above?
So this is my thought here, and I think Mary, it's going to go along with what you're thinking also. We authorize you to research, obviously get the contract in hand so that we can see legally what is the best recourse if it is monetary withholding. So that way we don't have the whole town going dark, which quite frankly, with the percentage of lights we had out, probably wouldn't be too many more. But what I would also say is let's start documenting and putting things in writing now. We already had our council meetings. We have already had Tina here. We already went through that first part. It does not get us the results that we want. I think we have to hit this on a multiple prong effect. Not only do we need to hit JCP&Ls higher up, let's go right to the top. I don't like messing around in the middle. But I also think what we need to do is, hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's election time. And we have quite a few high up individuals that are running, and I'm sure they would want to take on a cause here for Saraville. The speaker, I think, would be a great way to go as well, and turn around and let's get a little bit more firepower when it comes to the individuals that are already seated in an office, to turn around and tell them that, hey, Saraville needs help. So why don't we reach out to also, and I'm gonna look over here at our acting BA for the day, Ms. Garbowski, Garbowski, let's let's on drafting a letter from the council, the mayor and council. Let's brainstorm real quick. Let's ask Speaker Coughlin. Who else? Senator Vitale, he's always another fantastic, and we also have Assembly Woman Lopez. I think we can hit those top three because they are very close to us. In addition to that, we'll have the attorney reach out to JCP&L's top head honcho. Tell them, thank you for sending your representative, but we're not happy. And then in the meantime, you can get that contract.
Absolutely.
Any additional ideas from the council of individuals we need to add to this exciting chain? I think we're good, right? But Mr. Duffy might have another idea because his hand is up. So come on up, Mr. Duffy, before we close out the resolution component of today's meeting. Remember, we're keeping it to consent agenda resolutions, but if we're talking about the bill list in regards to lighting, knock your
Okay,
socks off.
now, can you get a hold of the public utilities and say this is a safety issue in the township, and get the records from the police department where accidents are and see if the lights are lit or not? And then go one step further. Don't reach for the low fruit, reach for the high fruit. Get the CEO's ear and get them down here and embarrass them.
Well, we like to say,
And then
have a
you'll-
very good conversation. If
All right.
embarrassment happens as a result,
But-
that's out of my hands.
But when he comes here, or you talk to him, you let him know you may have some press here.
My concern is I don't want legal issues, and that's one of my worries, but I agree with
But
you. Press, I
underlying,
agree.
It's a safety issue.
Absolutely.
It's a safety issue. If one person gets hit because the light is down, one kid leaves a soccer thing because the
Absolutely.
light's out, then we're all feeling sorry.
I like the
let's
BP, I
do
forgot about the
preventive-
public utilities. That's
You know
important.
what I mean? But they sent the low fruit here. I wouldn't accept that as a township. It has to be up in the executive board. And if you don't get nowhere there, you start writing letters to the board members. They all have email address.
I like it, Mr.
And
Duffy.
you'll get there. The other thing on the consent agenda is, can I speak about 274?
Of course, yes.
Okay, I just have a question here. We're getting 2 trucks for $566,000. Last week, we agreed to get 1 sweeper for $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with that picture?
Those sweepers are ridiculous in cost. I agree.
Uh,
Um.
Can we turn one of these trucks into a sweeper and cancel the other one? I just think it stands out that, you know, these state contracts, do we have to abide by them?
Usually, I'll turn it over to Ms. Biancamano. Usually the state contracts, we're involved in those because the pricing is lower. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you have to still do some comparative shopping. Do we know if these were actually on the lower end of the purchases retail? You want to take a look at that? Danielle's usually pretty good to make sure that when the state contract comes in, that we are going with the lowest possible. But once in a while, and usually it becomes an issue, what I have found lately, because of the production of vehicles right now, and the availabilities of vehicles right now because
Right,
of
right.
the world in general.
Right.
But prior to this post-COVID world we live in, state contracts always been on the lower end. Dan, I'll even push it over to you as well because you deal with this as well in your profession.
You can go off, you can not buy off state contract if the price is 15% cheaper than state contract. That's another loophole that's out there. So you have to
Okay.
prove a 50 to 15% savings to go non-state contract. This isn't state contract. This is Sourcewell. This is a national co-op. So
Okay.
we have to pass a resolution to do it, but I saw Sourcewell prices compared to like ESCNJ, which is a local co-op, which you can enter without, and the Sourcewell was cheaper. So
This-
I don't know when this particular one was. Danielle would know the specifics, but
So there are a couple of other avenues then that we can go outside of the state contract then.
Well, you don't have to buy, but you shop, you know, an educated consumer is your best customer,
I agree.
okay? And sometime,
We do have several groups that we deal with, and we always try to go for the.
right,
Sometimes it may appear that we're paying a higher price, but it's just because they're the only people that have a certain piece of equipment that we're in desperate need of. And there's 6 other towns that want the same piece of equipment, and they know they have us.
yeah.
But just because it says it's cheaper here, if they don't have that piece of equipment right now, somebody else has it, they might, you know what I'm trying to say? If you can get it.
I bought and sold cars for 35 years. But what I'm saying is, if we could put a bid out, even though there's the state contract, put a bid out, we need this kind of truck. There may be a dealer that's in a little trouble and need the money. We'll give you a decent price, better than the state contract.
We did that with some pickup trucks. We got them from dealers because.
Yeah,
it's a cheaper price.
yeah.
They really are. It's not just the finance, also the superintendent in public
Yeah.
works. They're out there looking all the time.
Yeah, because they need the money. A dealership sometimes runs into a little of a problem. They need the money. They know they're gonna get a check from a township. You know what I mean? So they'll turn around and give you a low bid. Listen, you need this truck, you know? So if they take a hit for $1,000, but yet they make a relationship or something, or $100,000, at least they got money to flow, stay up. Just an idea. Thank you, Mayor.
I like it. Thank you. Anybody else under consent agenda resolutions? Seeing none at this time, then I'll entertain a motion to.
Close the public portion and motion to approve the consent agenda resolutions on roll call vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Inoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Okay, at this time, I'll also entertain a motion in order to accept the correspondence as listed under letter A, numbers 1, 2, and 3 on the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second? I gave them all to you. Is there a second under the second? Roll call, please, for correspondence.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Inoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Okay, at this time now, we are to our mayor and council reports. We'll begin with administration and finance. I had a busy day already this evening. Councilman Balca, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one thing to bring up. Back in July, I think Council President asked us if we had any contact or received any contact from a Bob Martin or Christie 55 organization.
That is correct.
I remember I looked the next day in my email and saw that I had one. I didn't respond to him, but I forwarded it to Christians, and that was part of an Oprah we had recently too. I just want to put on record that I did receive an email back on, I think it was July 17th from the Bob Martin Christie 55 organization.
And this was the,
Insight
lobbyist?
something for Insight Development. I didn't return the call, so
Okay,
that's all it is.
thank you very much.
Other than that, progress in the world of finance and administration.
Very, very good. Thank you very much for that. Public safety, Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Public safety, I just want to thank the chief for being here. But I do want to start my report with Happy Columbus Day, a day late. Everyone here had the night off yesterday. I do want to review the tree dedication for Eli and words that Several Cares shared online. I am grateful for, first, I'm grateful for Senator Vitale, House Speaker Craig Kaufman, and Assemblywoman Yvonne Lopez for their attendance in presenting the resolution. I'm grateful for the Shade Tree Commission for this very impressive program. I am grateful for the community, especially the friends and family of Eli who were present at the ceremony. These young people and their faith and spirit does give me hope. And I see some of you that were there for that ceremony. And the chairman of Several Cares had written many heartfelt thanks for the tremendous outpouring of love and support by our beautiful community for Elizabeth Peno and her family honoring her son, Elizam Santana. Listening to all the testimony today from friends and family, it's apparent that in spite of your short life, Eli, you impacted the lives of so many people. May your legacy live on through all the love that you gave on this earth. Eli, may you rest in peace, our hero. And I am also grateful for the presence of Councilman Conti, who was able to attend, and Councilman Zambrowski, who was able to attend the ceremony that day. Also, we had Cerebral Day recently. That was a great success. Even though it was delayed a week, the weather really worked for us. And I want to thank everyone who had a part in that to make it seamless for everyone to enjoy that day. I'm sure that Councilman Zambrowski is going to report on the community garden and the event that we had on Sunday, right after Eli's tree dedication. I do have some follow-up for the Board of Health. When I get follow-up for that, I will let them know. I attended their meeting this past week and they had some things we're going to tighten up. Just a couple of things going on in town that are not necessarily part of our recreation, but the Lions Club is having something called a Precious Jewels Gala as a fundraiser coming up this Thursday. I do want to mention, because people have been asking about our certifications, that in addition to the certifications that I've already received for this year, not just and every year prior, the orientation for municipal officials that are newly elected, re-elected, or experienced, and the budgeting for elected officials, I will be attending the Principles of Redevelopment on October 21st, and we also have a new requirement for ethics. By the way, the ethics that is going to be held at the League of Municipalities does not have enough credits for the requirement, so it will be a full day course for that. I met some of the high school theater team from our high school. They're going to be having a murder mystery dinner on October 18th. They asked me to share that with everyone. It sounds like a fun night, which is a dinner, starts with the dinner and they interact and it's a murder mystery. I'm also looking forward to legislators back to school day on the 19th. And I want to thank Mr. Howard for the invitation and partnership on that. And I hope some of the other council members will also be able to attend that day. Mary, I'll let you do your historical society. There's a lot of fun stuff, but can I mention that Friday's tour, the haunted tour on Friday night, the 6 o'clock tour, I will be the narrator for that one. So I'm looking forward to participating in that experience. And some of the other things are Mary's, but I'm sure she's going to get to some of the fun things. There's so many things going on right now. You don't want to miss it. And Several does a really good job of these events. And I do want to share, because we always said we will share and be transparent about Sarah. So I have some notes about our last meeting. And forgive me, these are not the minutes, they're my notes, so they're a little messy. The official minutes haven't been distributed yet. But a couple of things that we had going on. We had an update on the Bass Pro Shop, nothing official, but they just gave us an update. They've got designs, they had permits that should have been issued last week. So that's going well. They have some electric transformers and generators being ordered. Some of the things they're ordering will take 2 years to get here. So they're ordering a lot now. They have some plans to widen boulevards, transition some utilities. They've delivered some architecture and engineering drawings to our engineer, which you've got. Okay, so things are moving on. The pump station will be working for all sections. What they did give us a presentation on was the gateway services part of Riverton. So the best way I can explain it without a map is when you come off of the Parkway from a southbound direction, Riverton will be, when you come into Several, Riverton will be on your right-hand side. And the drawing looks like the gateway section is on the left-hand side, which is really where you're going to have your convenience centers, gas stations, I think a couple of drive-through restaurants on that side. So it doesn't impact what's going to go on the other side of Riverton, where it's planned to be a hotel and all of those other townhouse structures. So they had designs for that. Their parking will exceed the EV parking requirements that we have now. And if you've heard me speak here before, you know that I'm not a fan of requiring EV in our structures, but they are going to exceed it. So a lot of stuff is going on at that site, even though it's still looking flat. There's ordering, there's a lot of moving parts, and they're moving forward with it. And it looks positive. I think I can let you know that a couple of the businesses that are looking to build there that we did reviews for include Quick Check and Chick-fil-A. So that's what happened at Sierra. And Chief, did you want to mention anything while you're here today? I think we were pretty good. Okay, thank you.
With the mention of the generators that you had said, they could take up to 2 years to get here. Now, are those required for the build out?
Well, let me tell you the ones that they said were 2 years. From my notes, again, I'm not an engineer, so my notes may not be exact. But the transformer is a 2-year order. Does that sound about right, Jay?
This is in reference to Jersey Central providing power to that entire facility. So they're starting now ordering materials that they're going to need for the eventual build out. That's why that's a 2-year lead time item.
So, okay, so that's separate and above the actual structure itself. So
Right.
what I'm asking is, I'm sure what the rest of the residents want to know is this going to be another 2-year delay and before we see something in regards to Bass Pro? We're going to see structure and building before 2 years?
As we
Okay.
indicated, they've applied for footing and foundation permits for Bass Pro, and they're close to being issued by the construction office. The power issue, they have power to take care of the Bass Pro Shop and some of the other facilities. It's long-term that they've got a substation they have to put in, and that's what this is referring to.
How are we, so we'll just cut to, what are we looking at, something vertical?
My understanding is spring of next year is when they're looking to go vertical.
Okay.
Because we're
But
coming
we'll
into
see a
winter
pad
season
site of
now.
some type.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Bass Pro will be the first construction, and my understanding is spring of next year.
And I
Oh.
think what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bass Pro will be the first to start, but probably not the first one completed.
right, that's been consistent from what we've heard, I think, from day one, because this is pretty much the anchor is what we're looking at this particular,
Oh, even when they get those permits approved, they're not gonna start that foundational work.
Because we're into the winter.
I think the time of the year is the concern. They don't want to start in the winter
By the time
season.
the Permits get issued, it's going to be too far into the cold season to do things.
okay, and there's been no change to the development, timeline and layout of what we were looking at regarding residential versus commercial. That's always been something that we've been consistent with. And has that changed at all? That was a very important component to the Riverton build, was that we were not going to be inundated with residential housing, but rather it was going to be a gradual build, and it was going to be a percentage of commercial build and a percentage of residential. Has that changed at all over the years? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to confirm that. Brain is still working after all these years. Any other comments, Councilwoman Roberts?
Not at this time, but if I have a response for anyone, I'd be happy to share that at that time.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Public Works, Councilman Conti.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so a few of the easier things. You saw that we awarded a contract for roadway paving, and that is for Gordon, Little Broadway, Oak Street, and Surrey Lane. So next with that is really just scheduling, right? Pre-construction meeting and then scheduling. So, and are we expecting, I know it's getting colder, but are we expecting that to be done this year?
They'll start this year. Yes.
Okay.
Definitely not finished, but they'll start.
All right, well, so good news, at least we'll see some progress there on those 4 roads. All right, that's the one easy thing that we've got going on. Yeah, Sayreville Day, Donna mentioned that, really good time, good turnout, lively group. And it was just fun to see everybody there. You know, the band playing, the singer and one, it was just a nice time. You know, and I want to thank the guys for getting it set up and keeping it running well. So the Parks Department, Richie and his crew, Charlie, Eddie, Wayne, for doing that. I've seen those guys out and about a lot lately. I'm always at parks, so I see them here and there. So I really do want to thank those guys. They're doing a lot of good work for us to keep our kids out there using the parks. So, you know, again, I just mentioned Wayne, Richie, Charlie, and Eddie doing a nice job for the Parks Department. I do want to thank, I know we were talking about it a little while ago, but I want to thank Rutgers. I want to thank Art and his Shade Tree team, Mike, Jay, Ed, for getting those trees out on MacArthur. I drove by there earlier, and it just cleans it up, just cleans up the area where all the trees are planted. It's nice and clean, and we've got some fresh trees going up there. I don't know what they are, 10-foot high trees. I think they're fruit trees, I believe, as well. So I think that it is. Mike may know. But it's good. It's just progress to see something like that going on and really finally taking steps to clean up that area a little bit. So I'm happy about that. I think there was over 70 of them. So I'm really, really happy about that and getting that done. And hopefully do more in that area to do a nice job there. I want to thank George and his team. I know George said his crew was out at the boat ramp fixing all the lights over there. So his crew got out and addressed that. So it looks bright. Looks bright. So I do want to thank them for that. Yeah, we'll pay that one.
Those are all lights. We get them fixed.
Yeah, well, that's right. So anyway, I want to thank those guys for doing that. I do really want to thank the team as well for the memorial for Eli in the park. Several Cares and Karen, I think she really set up a nice event and emceed it really well. It was nicely done. The parks guys and Shade Tree for picking out working with the family to pick out a beautiful tree and plant it, and also the bench. I think Eddie said he found a bench, or somebody had located a bench that wasn't being used and put a bench there too, and they're going to put a plaque on there. So I thought that was nice. I caught up with Art as well, and Shade Tree, a lot of times you hear about trees coming down and the Shade Tree Fund and what are we going to do with it? And taking down trees that are rotted, but this was a nice thing. And we all agreed it's a nice thing that Shade Tree does come out and do a dedication like that, supply the tree. And it's just really nice. And, it was just a really nice event. Elizabeth is she's got a wonderful family there. And all the stories I heard about Eli, and the kind of person that he was at such a young age. I just was proud of him coming out of Sayreville, for starters, and I didn't know Eli, but I was just so proud of that kind of an individual, and all his goals for life and all the things that how he impacted others, his friends, so many things that he's done. And I was, oh my gosh, he's 19 years old. He's talking about trading with his partners, and then his family talking about him and the impact that he had on everyone. It was really an overwhelming event. I got to say, there was probably, I didn't look behind me, but there was probably not a dry eye in the place. It was very emotional. Elizabeth was very emotional as well, and she just had such a strong message. And I was just really happy to be there. And, while I know we'll never have the answers about why we lose people at such a young age, but I think Eli wrote in his memoirs about, a lot of things, what his purpose was and what he's meant to do. I don't know, maybe he was meant to be an angel and, kick butt up in heaven, because maybe they needed some help to get things straightened out down here. And he needed to do that from above. I really don't know, but, I do know that heaven truly got an angel, and we lost a hero. So I just was really, really proud to be there, really happy with the show of support. So many kids there too. It was just a nice event. I was just happy that it went so well, and just want to thank everybody involved for putting that together. And everybody who showed up, it was really nice. All right, then I also want to thank the fire chief, Matt, for taking care. I was out and about, met up with a resident the other day, and told me about a problem in her yard. And, Matt had his guys go out there right away and clean up. It was a down pole, and they cleaned it up and took care of it. So I like to see when that sort of stuff happens. Somebody has a complaint, we put in a call to the right departments, they get out and they resolve the problem. I just, I like to see that. That's how it should work, nice and quick like that too. I wish it was like that with the lights, but I do want to thank the folks, the Public Works, parks, et cetera, for getting out to Ulner Street. I know they did some cleanup work there. I don't think that they are finished doing what needs to be done, but I was out there. I saw the street. I felt so bad. I could see where people took in water. I felt bad about that. I know they thought there were some problems around the ditch, allowing water to go through. And the guys were out there and they cleaned up a lot of what they could clean up. So hopefully if we do get sudden outburst of rain like that, hopefully it will flow better through to the end of the street into the ditch. And then I know other things need to be done, but at least I know they got out there to clean that up at least, and hopefully that will help if anything else goes on. All right, so what else? So I wanted to appeal to Sal, to Jess. I know Becky, you're here subbing, but we've got to get the pilot onto an agenda. We've got to get that for Trammell Crow, for the Arsenal project. We've got to get the pilot on an agenda so we could all get our opinions out there about it and make a decision once and for all and move it forward. I would love to do it today, but I think that it's out of order to do it. And I don't know if it is. I know, Jess, we talked about it a little bit. And Sal, I don't know if it is out of order to do it. But you know, we have the documentation. I don't know that anybody asked for anything. I know I had asked for something and Glenn was going to set it up, but I since got through that on my own after reviewing the documentation from Phoenix. I don't know that there's any other barriers to just taking a vote and either approving or denying it. So, and as I said, I mean, I don't know. Can I make a motion?
Motion is.
Because if I can make a motion, I'll make a motion to deny the pilot. I don't think,
Do we want to have I mean, you asked the council, our
Sal.
attorney.
yeah.
There's a motion and a second, so I don't know. You want to hear that comment or what?
No, I mean, as I sit here now, I'm not aware of anything that would prevent you from taking a vote on this pilot. So if that's what the council is.
All right.
plans to do.
Well, okay. So, and I know if I could just pause for a second and then go forward with that. I think we need to move ahead without a pilot for the warehouse, for Arsenal, whatever you want to label it as. I think that as a person who is all about our community, I look at the pilot very carefully and I see there's one way to do it. And in the one way, it goes all toward our budget right here, right? So it's all for us, most of it, and we could do with it what we want. In the other regard, it's split up. It's split up between our budget, the schools, and then if it's county, et cetera. And I couldn't sit here and say it with good conscience that I want to keep it all for myself, essentially for our budget. I want to keep it all for myself and forget about the schools. I can't do that. I really can't do that. Not with this amount of money. I've got a child in our school system. I run an athletic organization in town. I see 1,500 kids coming through that program. They're all in our schools. And I hear from people about our schools, about how they need to be improved, how they might need to be expanded. We've got a lot of development going on. As much as people think there may not be as many kids, there's gonna be kids. And our schools need things. And we know what just happened this past year with the air condition and what that did to our taxes. So we did a nice job keeping it minimal. And then the schools came in and they hit us hard. And if I take all that revenue that comes from the pilot, from the project, and keep it all in our borough and just for our budget, I'm depriving the schools. And I'll never be that person where I'm going to deprive the schools of, whatever it is, 80 some odd million dollars across 30 years, when they could put that to good use. And I know we could do it other ways, and we could share somehow, but honestly, I'd rather they get their share, and do it the right way via property taxes, whatever the assessment is. And I feel better about walking around our town doing it that way, as opposed to there's other projects that are coming around. We've got the landfill that we're going to sell for X amount of millions. We can use that for our infrastructure. There's also the pilot on the table for Riverton, that I know is not yet approved, but I know it's been approved. So you've got a pilot out there for Riverton. No? I didn't think.
Riverton? Okay.
I didn't think
Let
it
me look
was,
back.
but so you got a pilot on the table. I think that was a, I don't know if it was approved or not. So, but you got a pilot on the table for Riverton. We can't keep doing pilots where we keep all the money for our budget and don't share it's like you go down the street and you just want to turn your head to our school system and our children. And I just can't do it with these big projects. It's just not the right way to do things. So my motion would be to deny the pilot and have them go forward, traditional tax program without the pilot.
And I will second that again.
Donna, did you have something to add?
No, I'm just puzzled because I recall when we had the discussions about a pilot for Riverton. My microphone is on. Can you hear me? It was one of my first years admin and finance during the pandemic. I made the Riverton people come back additionally so that we can review their pilot information. And then we took a vote on the pilot. I'll look back at my notes. I might be mistaken, but I do have the pilot presentation at home. Just, you say,
Go through the ordinances. I don't have anything with the financial agreement. I just have the financial agreement. I think is what they submitted, but I don't know if we went all the way through.
Denise, I don't recall seeing anything,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor. And
That
I
went
don't
through?
recall anything coming before the mayor and council, but I could be wrong.
I got a better one.
Joe?
Pilot agreement for Riverton?
I thought there was at least something, because the section M, I was really on about meetings down at the site.
Wait, do you mind speaking in
right,
instance?
and that's the one where I spoke to you and I made them delay.
No,
so
I
that we got
will
your
just have you come
answers.
up to the mic for a second. Do you mind? Real quick? Just to put on record real quick.
Let me, and I just want to,
Yeah, just because I asked you to make comment real quick because they couldn't hear what you said.
and I just want to make a comment. So, a lot of our residents look at our meetings and they have negative opinions about things. Why we don't know definitively about Riverton is pretty embarrassing. Did we approve a pilot? Did we not approve? It's a huge project and we don't know whether or not we approved it or didn't approve it for a pilot. That's not good government right
That's
there.
the largest
Yeah.
redevelopment project, well, I know on the East Coast, but it may
Yeah.
be within the continental US. Joe, I apologize for the record. I shouldn't have asked you to speak from your seat. Did you have any knowledge of whether a pilot went through as our tax assessor who you hold everything in there, so.
Financial agreement went through, at least in part of it, because it spelled out different numbers for the townhouses, which would be totally exempt from the property tax, not where they'd be paying land, but they would be totally exempt, as well as the apartments, and there's 2,000 of those. 300 of them are towards our COA agreement, so we would need those to be constructed.
Okay.
The project itself, I believe, should have a pilot because it's a brownfields cleanup, which was magnitudes we haven't seen. Like you're talking about the countrywide for the size of the project. It might be countrywide for the
It might be a
cleanup of the
content, yeah.
project and the things that need to be done there. They, as I understand it, they've done the bulkhead out where the old dock used to be. It had all brand new stuff there. They have some major piping in the middle of the site to take the sewer, I guess, and do something with that. We've all seen the dirt piles going and coming from the site. And then, of course, Bass Pro has been coming for the last 15 years, but hopefully they'll make it. The NL, we should have a discussion on the pilots because there is some disconnect when we have a wide array of them and what we have as far as lists. I tend to go overboard and put more information than we really need to have on certain lists, but at the same time, it spells out other things that help when questions come up like this. And I appreciate the councilman's comments before. I'm sure I'm going to get that in there right now because I thought you were going to approve the thing because I was about ready to jump up and one swell, want to jump and get over here. But I'm glad to hear that you're not in favor because that is the position I believe is the right position. But we need to have somebody
Yeah,
take a
no, I
list
know.
because even
I
the
got
NL That's gonna come in here, money's gonna come in here, and where did it go? Even something simple like the Morgan's Bluff was supposed to have 22 units recorded of affordable housing. It wasn't recorded when it was supposed to have been recorded. It was done 3 years later. So, we gotta get these things. Can I come back up after we're?
Yeah, we're going to actually finish the motion. I wanted to make
Yeah, I
certain that
Caught myself and I'm thinking I'm going on here and we got a motion.
we would have pulled the hook out
You
in
have more
it.
questions?
Thanks, Joe. No, I just want to move forward with the motion that's on the table, without a violation of our,
So before you go, your recollection was that we had talked about the pilot, we had,
So we-
Called a financial agreement in different, everything's called different things.
yeah.
so we
So
did, we
right
did
now-
vote on it. You and I recall that, and okay.
So we're just going to move forward with the motion. I just wanted to make sure that I had asked him. But our clerks, of course, were quick to turn around and pull our records. Let's finish the first motion that I believe Councilman Conti had made and was seconded by Mary in reference to the pilot agreement for Trammell Crow. So we're still in roll call.
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes, and I just want to say a few things. I mean, all pilots are not bad.
Right.
This one, they obviously don't need the money because they built without it. Have never been happy or with the way the application was presented or not presented. And if it was not legally presented, then we couldn't even give them a pilot if we wanted to. And I just don't think that they had any surprises when they went in on this. They knew what the contamination was. They knew that there might be wetlands over there. They knew they had railroad tracks and they were going to have to build a road over railroad tracks. They knew all of this going in. And yet they continued to build this. So I am in favor of not giving them a pilot. Thank you.
Manoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
This is a tough one because we didn't introduce anything. So the public didn't really have an opportunity to give their feedback on it, which is a problem for me. That's one of the things I've wanted to get. I've gotten feedback from people who have had a little experience, but I don't know if that's what the overall public would have wanted had they understood what they might get, what they might not get. So whether we think a pilot would have been a good thing or not is really cutting out the public's ability to voice their opinion. And that's where I have the problem. I think this is a little premature. And I'm having a lot of difficulty agreeing to take away that ability of the public to see what the actual agreement is because it hasn't been made public. So therein lies my problem. I'm not saying that I would vote for the pilot should it have come up to us, because we would then be having a reasonable discussion about the content of what that pilot would do or would not do. Right now, we're talking just about the term pilot because it's been deemed evil by a few people on Facebook. I'm not saying that the other council people who have read the pilots don't have their own opinion on it, and they may be absolutely right to state that opinion. I just don't like taking away the public's ability. So therein lies my dilemma.
That's such vote.
I would love to be voting on the actual content of the pilot. That's my problem. And this takes away that conversation.
Members of the public, I apologize, Mayor. We are making a record. We can pick up the sounds that are being made. So if you could please just allow, and you will have your turn to speak during public comment. Thank you.
So let me just pontificate a little more.
I will say, I did want to clarify one thing, Donna. You said you wanted to vote on the merits of the pilot. Don't you have all of that
I do, but I want to know what the public's view is. A lot of people have asked, can we see the actual pilot document, which is currently confidential, so it should not be out in public. Once it's made public, then we can have that discussion transparently to the public. And then we can make a decision. That decision could very well be no.
So we have a motion on the table with a second. Do you have a vote?
And I know the opinion of a handful of people that are in this room right now, but there are thousands and thousands of people that may have a differing opinion.
That is the business of government when you're elected, so.
I can abstain. I will abstain from this vote.
Zabrowski.
What about yes, but I do want to make comment as well. I'm really glad that we're finally getting to an end on really what has been kind of a sordid, chaotic and process that quite frankly was lacked transparency, lacked collaboration, lacked so many things that we that we expect from our public officials. I'm really glad to hear that those that at one point were persuaded to look towards the pilot, that they now are in this position, because I think it's the right position. Looking as to whether the pilot should have been appropriate or not, I don't think it ever met that criteria. There are certain properties that require initiation and help in order to become developed. I don't believe that this was one of those pieces of property. I think it could have been very marketable right from the beginning. And it should have been marketable right from the beginning. So I'm glad we've moved along and got that. But I do also say that I think we need to learn from this process as well. We can't handle pilots in this fashion. You can't handle any business in this fashion, but you certainly can't handle pilots in this fashion. We really need to have a comprehensive ordinance, and we really need to have a committee that works together with our employees, but also with our council people and our elected officials in order to be able to bring this out and have the right information out for our community. I do agree with Donna. Our community has a right to know the facts. I don't believe they got all the facts. I think in this particular case, the answer was a little bit more clear. It didn't fit the criteria, but I think in the future, we have to do a better job than we did. I appreciate the fact that some people have now been persuaded to say yes and not go for the pilot, but again, my vote is yes.
Does that take care of everybody? Okay, final vote. Tally?
5 yeses and 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you for that. I believe we were still in your committee report. If I,
You are, but that was the final.
that was the culmination. Okay, the crescendo, if you will. Yes.
So thank you.
All right. Gee, where are we? Okay, recreation. Councilwoman Novak, here we go.
Yes. Sayreville Day was a rounding success. Everybody had a good time. The weather was great. The Recreation Committee did an excellent job with it. And it's difficult to plan one of those things, but when you have to then move it all to the next week and some vendors are no longer available, what they have to go through, and they're all volunteers. So, I really commend them for that. Then we had the car show. And 3 of us, Donna, Vince, and myself got to pick the best of show car. And I was lucky enough, they had to leave, so I got to give the trophy. I've never done anything like that before, so it was an exceptional experience. And I can honestly tell you, the guy it's first trophy he ever got, believe it or not. And he was very excited and he came up and he couldn't stop saying thank you. So that was very, was wonderful.
And thank you for giving out all the trophies.
And pickleball courts are moving along. Evelyn Terrace. It's on the agenda tonight to purchase the new park. Those people down in Evelyn Terrace have been waiting for their park to be done for a long time. And I had the opportunity to actually speak to a couple of people down there on another topic. And when I told them about the park, they were very excited. So that is being done. Highland Drive. I love being up here. Everybody wants their roads paved, and then when the roads are being paved, nobody's happy about the inconvenience. And for just, what is it, about a day and a half? Only during certain hours, it was after the school buses had come and gone, and all I heard, they were knocking on my door constantly telling me that they're all happy about it now, though. I want to thank everybody for getting that done, because it is a route that a lot of school buses take. And anybody that knows that Glen Court down to Highland Drive is like the Parkway during certain hours. So people got to those cones and most of them just panicked like they were going to Mars, and other people drove around them, which I thought was entertaining. They get out, move them and drive around it and realize they couldn't go any further. They had to back up anyway. So that was a really great thing. I was so happy to see that happen. Okay, let's see. Oh, kind of on the police thing, but also on recreation. Friday the 13th, the new Poltergeist Police video will be hitting the airs, and I was fortunate enough to see a preview. Yeah, I got my. Yeah, well, it's my son. Mommy gets it. So you're going to be very happy when that comes out. We were very excited about that. Let me see, upcoming I have written down. Hit the Bricks 5K run Saturday, October 14th. The race starts at 9:30. Pre-registration is available at sayreville.com. Race day registration is at the Jerry Ust Recreation Complex. Proceeds will go to support Sayreville BIC. Halloween Trick or Trunk, Friday, October 27th at 6 p.m. Jerry Ust Recreational Complex. Trick or treat from various town organizations, groups, and businesses. New addition is a zombie carnival. Small fee to play carnival games. Women's Defense, which is a new program that the Recreation Department is pre-registration is required, and the classes begin on October 21st. And go over my notes real quick. Poltergeist, Evelyn Park, Sarah. Okay, and I was not able to go to Eli's planting of his memorial tree. I did reach out to Eli's mother and tell her that her family is in my prayers. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you.
Can I add a couple?
Yeah, sure, please.
There's another car show for you to give out trophies at. St. Stan's is having theirs on October 29th. And I just want to give info about there's Thursday. The Historical Society has a program on gravestone symbolism, which sounds like a lot of fun too. And I just wanted to say, since you weren't at the ceremony, thank you to Ed Garella for the chairs and setting up and taking down on his own time. That was very generous of him.
Thank you both. Water, sewer, and environmental, please, Councilman Zabrowski. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and good evening, everyone. I'll try to be as brief as I can. This has been quite an eventful number of committee reports. On Sunday, amongst the other events, and there was a number of events on Sunday, I attended the community garden picnic. This was really a nice event. I have to tell you, a community garden really, for most people, it's almost kind of like a hidden gem that we have with those volunteers that are involved in that. There are 3 special programs that went on at the picnic, from composting all the way to planting in the winter. Quite frankly, I don't have a green thumb. But I learned an awful lot from the volunteers there. So it is, I think from, someone from a community perspective, I don't have enough good things to say about that. And I'm asking if Jess, if you could schedule Anton to come and just speak about 5 or 10 minutes at the next meeting, or the November meeting, just on the work of the community garden, because there's a lot of good stuff going on there. Water and sewer. Oh, and I also thank Councilwoman Roberts for attending the community picnic as well. Again, a nice event. Water and sewer. Last week we suffered a collapse of a 16-inch conduit that was over by Bassett and Journey Mill Road. Our staff was able to get that corrected very quickly without having to do a boil alert. The reason I bring this up is the residents in that area have really pretty much been disturbed over the last couple of weeks by the work of PSE&G. having the area where they're now getting all that truck traffic and all the other traffic because of the detour. So I just want to thank them for their patience as well, because I know that that wasn't easy for them to go through. Again, I'll agree to everybody as far as Sayreville Day. It really was a wonderful day. The weather was beautiful, great crowd. I do want to thank Brian and the staff, as well as all our borough workers and our volunteers. Sayreville Cares, I think enough has been said. It really was a very nice event. I think, and I hope the family takes great solace in knowing that our community shares in their grief. And then finally, Sunday, I didn't get to it, and Mary, you didn't bring it up, but the Sayreville Historical Society unveiled its newest display, and that is the Amboy Cinema display. I have a lot of great memories of, I'm sure most do, about the cinema. And quite frankly, it's kind of amazing that it's now gone. It really was a showplace, and really from everybody from North and Central New Jersey came to it as a destination. So I look forward to seeing that display. And maybe that's my report. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Planning zoning, Council President Anoha, please.
Thank you, esteemed Mayor. Ultimately, just want to spend some time to thank those who play a part and spend their dedicated time in our planning and zoning meetings and staying informed. We're looking forward to our upcoming meetings in the, I think, 3rd and 4th weeks of this month. The rest of our council folks already spoke on some of the events and activities that took place already in the past this month as well. So I just want to thank all the residents that took their time, and the volunteers that took their time to make the events what it was. And even towards the memorial for Eli, we just want to say may his soul continue to rest in peace, and for the Lord to continue to comfort his family. We had the opportunity to spend some time with the mom, Miss Piano, and again, may the Lord continue to comfort her through this continuous challenging time. But ultimately, progress. And I think, the events for Eli, it's a call to action to continue to kind of live a life beyond ourselves, and to help be of an impact to those around us and to our larger environment, the same way he was able to fulfill in such a short time. Thank you again, esteemed Mayor. Progress.
Thank you very much, Council President. So for my report, wow, it's really impressive how much Sayreville really comes together every single day of the year. Just listening to our reports and listening to the council members really be able to reach out to our residents, that's what makes Sayreville special. And no matter what is going on in our town, in the world, and communities around us, that is one thing that makes Sayreville unique, is the 45,000+ residents that are here in our own way. We all love this place and we love this town, no matter what. To Eli's parents, who unfortunately I did not get to attend that planting. As a mom, when I read that, when I saw that, and as somebody that teaches and see how this impacted our students as well, and there's no words and there's no way to truly bring the type of relief that a parent needs when they lose a child. But I do think that Council President said it best, that Eli's life is a call to action. It's a call to action to all of us to live your life like today is your last, to live your life and to ask yourself, when you are gone, what kind of a difference did I make? And in 19 years, just 19 years, the difference that that young man made, that Eli made, was larger than what some people that live 100 years was able to accomplish. I agree with you, Councilman Conti. You really can't justify, in my mind, I can never justify a young person's life being taken at any time. And to turn around and say, well, he's an angel and he was meant to be where he was. Well, we need him to. But we have to remember that regardless of whether you see him every day, Eli is going to be with us every day. Okay, his roots are here now forever. His family is always going to have a place here. And Eli is always going to be echoing somewhere to someone because he made a difference. So that are my most heartfelt words that I can offer to the parents and to his friends and to the rest of his family. he is not forgotten and he continues to be here. I hate using the term what he was because I believe that it is what he is. He is still a part of us. For my report and for additional business that I think we need to discuss is something that I have listened to our residents, and this is really not something that is debatable, and I don't think I've met anybody on the opposite side of this. Let's talk about open space again. Okay. We are in the process of still, I don't believe we got all of those appraisals in yet from that parcel we were discussing across from Robin Hood and just down from the police department. I think we're still waiting on those because we had asked for 3. I'll ask Mary so Joe doesn't have to get up. You haven't heard anything yet,
No.
correct?
I haven't, but we authorized Joe to speak to the owners at some point and see if we can, if they're willing to even consider
Willing
selling
to,
it to us.
I won't make you get up again yet, Joe. If we don't have any, if you haven't heard anything yet, just give me a thumbs down. If you have heard something, give me a thumbs up and I know whether to bring you up. Have you heard anything? Thank you. You can stay then. But I'm not done. I'm gonna have more work for you if the council is interested. I'm gonna pass out, just what I have in front of me here is just an aerial tax map of, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, another piece of property that we could potentially be calling open space here in Saraville if we play our cards right and if we act. Thank you for that. I didn't realize this was behind here. Let me talk to you about this site. I apologize to the public. I attempted to put this on a PowerPoint. Oh, I'll take those. Thank you. That was part of the other pile. So I've been doing some homework because the word is green in my house right now. I don't have much of a green thumb, but I'm going to try and make that happen. So what the council is looking at right now, and I'll make certain that I get this to the public as quick as I can. I could not put it onto a slideshow because I wanted to utilize our TV screens. But what I was able to do with the help of my business administrator of the day is get some color copies here. Let me explain what we're looking at. Ladies and gentlemen, this is approximately 39.5 acres of prime, no, not USDA beef, no, prime property right here in the central section of Saraville, Kennedy Park. Okay, if you orient yourself with this map on the right-hand side, depending on how you're holding it, you should be able to see, and hold on for 1 second, you have the Conrail line that is cutting directly across. And then, let me just rotate. Hold on, I got to remember how I was holding this the other day. We have the lake from Kennedy Park down at the bottom. You also have just in front, hold on, let me look here. Wait. I gotta look on, I gave you multiple pages because it's blown up on different sides. You have Main Street coming down. Okay, here we go. I got it. If you hold it this way, ladies and gentlemen, so that the triangular piece is on the bottom of the page, if you hold it upside down, what you see on the left-hand side is Ernston Road. Everybody has where I'm at? Okay, if you hold it upside down, Jay, I think I've got it the way I need to now. Ernston Road is on the left-hand side. You see that little tiny roadway that's going into the blue line. That's Bethany Court. You have it, Mayor? If you hold it like this. That's Ernston Road near ShopRite, and then you have, what is that, Bethany? Yeah, you have to hold it upside down. I know, it took me a minute. What you have outlined in that triangular piece is a 39.5 acre piece of prime property right there within Kennedy Park. Okay? It's currently owned right now by Mako. Okay, we actually purchased right where that triangle, that point comes down just in front. We already purchased that open space through our affordable housing agreement. From the work that I had done and the help of others, that piece of property, from what I can tell based on tax records, purchased for about $300,000. Purchased by Mako, value of about $300,000, if I'm not mistaken. We have over $400,000 in our open space funds. $400,000 that right now is only designated, what? Oh, 11 million. What did I say? Oh, sorry. Listen, the brain is going. I'm getting tired as the day goes on. 11 million, we're talking about $400,000 here. One of the issues that we always had, that we had always heard, was there wasn't any property to buy. Well, we got property to buy. I wish that I could say that this is an original idea, that I was the first one to come up with this, but I'm not. This piece of property was actually envisioned as a possible open space purchase way, way back to a man you probably have heard of, Mayor John McCormick. And I had the pleasure to turn around and just sit down and talk with him for just a little bit. And he mentioned this piece of property. Kennedy Park is the center of our town. It's kind of like Central Park in New York City when you think about it. And with the designation of prime, we know that there are things that are allowed to be built here. We know that if Mako really wants to, there are things that can be done with this piece of property that would eliminate that green space that we so desperately want as a community, but it could potentially impact the center of our town, where our kids go and play, an area that's already highly trafficked. I can't imagine what it would have looked like if we weren't successful of obtaining from Kaplan that small piece of property. Could you imagine if 39.5 acres in some way, shape, or form was to see even a portion of that developed, changed, taken down? I can't live with that. And I can't live with knowing that with only a handful of meetings left, I have an opportunity to bring something to this council to say, this is an emergency. This is an opportunity. This is something that should be a priority of every single one of us. And I think that collectively, with the people that are sitting up here now, we can get this done. But first, we have to move swiftly and quickly. You know, Mr. Mako is already in pursuit of developing that piece of property across from the Main Street Townhomes, which is already kissing and abutting Kennedy Park. Okay, we've been watching this project go in this limbo for quite a while. We know he picks up the phone. We know he's interested in Saraville, and I think we need to make that call and talk to him about this 39.5 acre piece of property. We've got the money. I apologize for my misspeak. 11 million? $11 million. $11 million. The information I have is it was a $300,000 value or purchase. Now, we know we have to work with appraisals.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, we know.
There's a lot.
We know the appraisals. This is actually in our list of properties to buy, isn't it, Joe? It's in our book? Yeah, it already is in there.
I think it's time for us to start getting aggressive. I think it's time for us to start turning around, looking at those parcels and start making some offers. Start turning around and trying to take control of the green space before somebody else takes it and tells us that it's going to be gray space, concrete space. Because it's happening, and it's happening way too fast. And it doesn't make sense. Open space is the only designation within what I can tell from land use that is really truly protected. Okay, that is correct, Jay? Open space, when you have something designated as open space, it's hands off. Okay, it's hands off. Now, I am a little bit concerned because on the ballot in November, there is a question on that ballot regarding taking the open space monies and enabling portions of that money to be used in Blue Acres. I know $11 million seems like a lot, but property doesn't come cheap anymore. And when you have to enter into negotiations with people, $11 million can go really quick. I'm not going to turn around and say where my vote will be in reference to the referendum, but I really think that as educated voters, you need to really consider and think about what that means if we turn around and allow dollars to be put into Blue Acre projects as well as open space. I think we need a council and I think we need elected officials that are going to be aggressive with purchases. Aggressive with purchases. So I'm asking the council today, and now that we know for certain that this is one of the pieces that's on your inventory, that Joe confirmed and Mary confirmed, we've got a BA here. And we can authorize her to turn around and begin the process of, once again, obtaining appraisals again. Now, Joe, we asked you to do it last time and you're in the process of doing that as well. But I want to offer the Open Space Committee as much assistance as possible so that we can expedite all of these things. This will be, you guys are busy now. This is the second open space request that you'd be getting from the council to work on and to make happen quickly. Will it be easier if we just turn around and authorize Becky to get those 3 appraisals rather than having to go through the committee? I think that would probably be the most expeditious, since we already sent that to you. You're here.
So can I ask a question? Because I am all for buying open space if it's available. We do have to get the estimates, of course.
Of course.
I don't want to combine the referendum, which can also be a good positive for that. So I want to put that aside for now.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on the
But what-
referendum and impact as an elected official.
Well, yeah, I think you
can't-
kind of alluded to that. So I just want to
I'm
make
not
sure that
going
that's
there.
on the other side of the table. We're not going to talk about that right now. But I wanted to know, since I'm not part of open space, Mary, you might have the most experience because you are the liaison and we're lucky to have Joe here today too. What is your experience with this piece of property in the past? What successes have you had, or what obstacles have you had before on this space? If you could share with us.
So, Joe, that would mean that you have to move up.
You want to come up, Joe? Yeah.
Of course, Joe. We love having you up here. This is 2 or 3 meetings now. We got to move you to the front seat.
Joe Cubs, tax assessor. One of the things that has to be put into the mix here, like Mayor, when you were speaking, is that we tried, Jay is well aware of this, when the Collage piece was in play along the Laurel Park development.
Yep.
And other properties were discussed at the time. There was one property which is being prepared for development now, which they wanted $4 million, if I remember correctly. It ended up selling for $1.7 million to another builder, and that builder is now working on it. But when the government gets involved, we tend to get
Bogged
a
down.
little, the property owner gets a little more adventurous of what they'd like to see coming in, and they come up with higher numbers. So there is some resistance that way on it. Going back to the 39.5, about 252, lot 2, I believe it is, along Kennedy Park. My recollection is there would have been some agreement to put that in the borough's name, but they were looking for something else on another property years ago, and that never materialized as something else. So the prime zone would take over and we would have to deal with that there. The 2005 report and then the 2016 report have priority areas. You're finding them without the roadmap, so good for you.
Thanks.
And then other people that put their time into this project. But the open space, it's not as simple as running with that. Now appraisers, let me speak on that. I would need a third name to throw into the pot. There's 2 names that I always use. They've been fair to the borough, but you can't tell them what to come up with. On occasion, I review a report before it's actually given into the Borough Council and make comments on it. If the appraiser chooses to work on those comments, they do it. If they don't, nothing gained, nothing gained. But you can't tell them what to do. So if they come up with numbers like instead of 300,000, let's say 4 million, we'd be looking at 4 million. And because we're the government, we have to turn square corners. If we were just private individuals, we could make a deal. Whatever the deal would be, and that would be it. But we're the government, we have to
Right.
do things in a different way. And that sometimes gets in the way of doing it the way we want to do it. So I want to come back up when we have the time, but I wanted to throw that in there on these things, that there isn't a quick way to do it. It doesn't have to take 2 years either. I'll admit that. But when we got into the Kalaji one of these things, just to bring that up as an example, it went on for a year and a half before it finally fell through. That was a special thing, but the same kind of thing applies. It was an open space potential, and it went from.
My thing is, we're not doing anything right now. So we
Yes,
have to
and-
start the process, and we know, as you said, as government, we can't do anything without appraisals, unfortunately. In essence, we're gonna need the appraisals because that's part of our process.
Well, I think it was earlier this year. I'm not, really time is going by for me. I apologize if that's not the case, but you had made comments concerning a more aggressive nature towards the open space. I took that personally because I'm a little more laid back. And getting aggressive is probably the way it should go. I didn't get too aggressive per se for that, but you are right. We have a report, we have areas that we could consider buying, but we got to watch that 4 million instead of 1.7 thing coming in with the private and the.
Yeah, no, I agree. When I
But-
talk about being aggressive with open space, it means we want to really look at that inventory now and start being more proactive. And when I say aggressive, that means starting the process as, you know, a priority. We need to start looking at what we've had before. When and you mentioned it, when you first looked at this piece, this was a number of years ago, and there was other discussions being had, but now it's 2023. So it's time to resurface, and the past is the past. What does the future hold for this piece?
Well, another thing you got to dredge up from the past is the COA.
Of
requirement.
course.
Now, I am not against affordable housing by any way, shape, or form, but I am concerned with 600 or 700 numbers for Sayreville, and that's just Sayreville. What do the rest of the towns have? Where all these people are that need this housing? On the other hand, when they get involved in that, now we already had a psychotic horse running around looking for the burning stable to get back in there when it was going on with the court case with the COA. When you said and you asked Jay about whether it be protected. Not designated in open space doesn't protect it. Green Acres does. If you put it in the Green Acres inventory, how most of our stuff got in the Green Acres inventory was probably in the 70s and 80s when Tony Travisano was working on getting funding for the borough to build Kennedy Park and whatever else they needed money for. You had to put up land, and a lot of that got in there at that time. But the Green Acres, there was a debate, you might remember, with the DuPont parcels off of Cheesequake Road, whether that went into the Green Acres inventory, and then whether it could be used for a municipal garage and other things. That was a whole big thing too. But the Green Acres, and Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong if they ask you to, but that is what actually protects it. If it's just open space, the judge can come in and say, we want affordable there.
Well, that would be different because then you're talking about buildings remedy, and to turn around and take something out of an open space inventory that was purchased by the borough. That is a little bit harder from the law that I checked into with our attorney for COA. It's harder than what they tried to do when they initially worked through builder's remedy for affordable housing. That's where they turned around and took our initial zoning of things like commercial and stuff and flip that into residential. Our COA attorney believes that while open space may not be 100% hands-off in comparison to Green Acres, it's as close to 100% hands-off as it can be right now. They does not see open space being something easily flipped for builder's remedy, even though we're still waiting to find out what our affordable housing requirement will be in our next phase. This right now is our best chance of trying to keep some green space here. I was excited, 39.5 acres to turn around and see where we are today. Mr. Mako's looking to build and do whatever the heck he is trying to do over there on the space of abutting Kennedy Park. I think now is a high time to turn around and enter into conversations again. If we don't have the conversation, we've got no chance in hell. If you do nothing, you get nothing. Nothing will come of nothing. I, language arts teacher, I believe that's old William Shakespeare. Nothing will come of nothing
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor?
if we don't do anything. We will get nothing. If we do something, we may get something. Council President?
Yes, ma'am. I'm grateful. I want to, I think this is a good conversation that we're having. Specifically, just having the opportunity to listen to residents, even on the previous opportunities to obtain more, open space or green space. As you mentioned, it sounds like our professionals agreeing to that if there's an opportunity to pursue and the funds are available, which it's never guaranteed that they'll always be available, but being that it's available now, perhaps it doesn't hurt to engage in the conversation and see what comes of it. And again, assuming our professional is in agreement with that, which from what I heard, he is, what would be the next steps to pursue it if it is possible? Because
That's
for
what
me, for me personally, I would prefer to motion that we have, the necessary authorized personnel to begin to pursue that conversation to see how we can obtain this property.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm asking is,
It sounds like we need a fresh conversation.
Can we start simply by authorizing the three, as you said earlier, Mayor, the three estimates that we would need for this property? And I'd be happy to make a motion for that.
thanks, Donna. That's really what I'm asking for, is just get the process
There we
started.
go.
There
I
you
guess
go.
I'll add a
So
second to that
motion,
then.
second, we got a second. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll come back later.
Yeah, you'll be back later. Thanks, Joe. All right, motion in a second. Let's, as soon as she's done writing, roll call when you're ready, Jess.
Councilperson Roberts,
Yes.
Falca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Enoja,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
All right. I love when open space is unanimous. Thanks, guys. At least we're entertaining two pieces. Let's see what we can have happen. What an eventful committee reports we've had today. So big things happening. I love it. That's great. We're at public portion now, which is usually also fun. Come on up, Mr. Robinson, and then Joe, I'll have you come back up again. You keep going back to that far spot though, Joe. You keep going back to the farther spot. I thought you would stay up closer. Yes, would you please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square in Parlin. Now that the pilot is off the table, I might actually stick to my 5-minute limit because I did want to talk. I did want to talk about that, as I do about a lot of meetings. Mayor, I want to congratulate you on the open space idea. That'll get John McCormick off my back because for 40 years, since I was the chairman of the planning board, John talked to me about the need for the borough to acquire that. He called it 40 acres. You're right, it's 39 and a half. And I think that would be a good thing. It is on the open space inventory. I think it's number 3 on the open space inventory, but if I'm not mistaken, number 2 is the parcel in Melrose where thousands of trees are coming down and condos are going up. So maybe this moved up to number 2. So that's all the more reason. That's all the more reason that we ought to act on this quickly. And I would tell you just one thing, Mayor, you said it was prime, so not a lot of things can be done there. The 5 homes that are there, the ones on Ernston Road and Beth Ann Way, are there by virtue of a use variance. They went before the Board of Adjustment. They never should have gotten that use variance, but they went before the board. That was prime property.
Yeah.
That should have been part of that entire piece. And this 40 acres is adjacent to the 4 acres that I was so
That's
happy
what
to work
made me nervous
you
that
and-
it was labeled prime, Jim, like you said, because the piece of property that we did buy from Kaplan, that was prime too.
Yes,
And that
that's prime.
was going to be a bunch of apartments because the builder's remedy clause was being evoked. So and talking to Mayor McCormick just made it so much more clear, and I appreciated all that knowledge. That's okay, I'll forgive you.
Well, and so thank you for that. I do want to talk a little bit about the pilot and Trammell Crow. a while ago, and I thank you, Councilman Balka, for correcting the record about the call that you got from lobbyist Christie's office for the pilot. And I did Oprah some comments to see if there were any. And I understand things slip through the cracks. You forget things. You don't always answer phone calls. You don't check your emails right away. Is there anybody else that received a call from Mr. Christie or Mr. Martin about this, that since the last time? I know Council President Anoha mentioned that he had. I know, Mary, you said you hadn't. Vince, you hadn't. Is there anybody else that, Donna, I don't think you responded last time. No? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. Speaking of that pilot, though, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to address Councilwoman Roberts' comments that there are folks that regard all pilots as evil and they post on Facebook. I'm one of those people that post on Facebook about pilots. I don't regard all pilots as evil. I support the Riverton pilot. That's what pilots were designed for. I support the pilot for the landfill on Journey Mill Road. That's what pilots were designed for. I'm very happy that Council President Anoha and others were able to kill the pilot for the self-storage over at Sherwood Forest. And Mayor, I'm happy that you recommended that that be put in open space. So I don't think we should paint things with such a broad brush and say people think all pilots are evil. I think there are a lot of smart people in this town, and I think people understand things, and to suggest that that they don't.
Robinson, you're coming up at
frankly, a
60
little
seconds.
Insulting. Okay.
Thank you.
Let me just say one other thing, though, on that matter. When you talk about wanting the public to comment, well, we get 5 minutes, and then we're told your time is up. So that's not really conducive to commenting. That's number one. Number two, I Oprah'd a lot of stuff on this pilot. Most of my requests were denied. And a lot of them I was sent with information redacted. I suggested at the last meeting that the tax assessor, the certified tax assessor, the person that knows more about tax assessments in this town than anybody, get a copy of that report. Councilwoman Roberts, you suggested he get a redacted report. Oh, what good is that? There were no numbers there. So I would suggest this.
I'm sorry, I
If you
think that was
surveyed,
Councilman
if you
Balca
surveyed
who
the
suggested
public,
that.
I'm winding up, if I may. If you surveyed the public,
You're at 60, you're at your 5 minutes. Thank you.
Chris Christie's probably disappointed this pilot didn't go through. And, Patriots for Progress might have to refund some contributions or something. But other than that, I don't think any member of the public is sorry. The thousands and thousands of people you talked about are sorry that this pilot was defeated. I think the council did the right thing, and I congratulate you for that.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate those comments. I think so too. I think that there's a lot of residents right now watching us, and that will be watching us, that are probably saying thank you, especially as they watch each tax bill come in, with knowing that the increase substantially came from the Board of Education. I know that was a concern. Councilman Conti said it. It was a concern. And it's very difficult to turn around and look the Board of Education in the face and say, and you're not going to get any more, from that particular piece. So, Joe, come on back up. Ken, I think, was your hand up too, Ken?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't see. And then, I'm sorry, you can come up before Ken, because she's new, Ken. I haven't seen her. That's a rule I have. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe Cupch, 167 Main Street. I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. I've made a bunch of notes, but the thing with the Melrose Fire Department thing that was on the committee reports, I may have an old document that might be interesting to the people in Melrose. And if I do, I'm going to look for it tomorrow and then dig it out. They probably have one, but it's a cool thing. It's like a booklet thing.
Cool.
So I'm going to look for that.
You're going to come back to our next meeting, aren't you?
The Cerebral Day, I enjoyed that the last 2 years, but this year I didn't go. I had various things going on. But I set up a table and bring some bricks with different names on them, old books that are in pencil with the taxes and dog tax and all kind of crazy things. And then, of course, open space. So yeah, I missed it this year, but I will try to get out there next year. The JCP&L, I think I have an old record because it's hit and miss. I have some things where I have a bunch of things on some of the industries, and I have others where you're wondering how I did things with no records.
I know.
But the Jersey Central thing does ring a bell.
Really?
I'm going to look for it. If there is an agreement, I'll be happy to give it to the attorney, and maybe that would help. But I'm not promising it, but I will look for it.
When he said parchment, I thought there's only one place that could be.
Well, if you've been by my office lately, when you walk past the door, it looks like a storage room.
Yeah.
But I am stuck in the back there, behind all the papers, and I have a bunch of them going all here and there. Back to the pilot. I want to thank everybody who voted, and even your abstention, voted to do that. About 6 months ago, I decided that I was going to get in on this. And what my goal was in all of the craziness that I contributed to the system, although not all of it's out in the public. But the idea was people should be talking about this. There are big numbers at stake, whether it's 10 million or 20 million or 5 million. The fact of the matter is the redacted thing that I got, I was a little disappointed that I got what I got, but there were two footnote lines of 4 lines each, and they had numbers on them. The land number I was able to verify. The other number for the assessment was equalized, which means there was no understanding of how these numbers work. And the equalized number is what the tax rate was put to. And I didn't have anything else on any part of the report except for these 2 footnotes. But I
Really?
was able to deduce from that that there has to be substantial changes in what they put down because on a grid or whatever they have, because it has to, because the numbers are equalized, about 40% versus 100. So there's a big difference there. It's not like 90 and where you never notice it. So I repeat, I would like to get the full copy of the report. Maybe one day I'll tell my 6 and 4 story. It only takes about 4 minutes, so I can do it under 5. But on another pilot that was out, but the windup is, I thank you all for doing that. I would like to mention one thing though. During that process, some of my friends came to me and says, "Why are you doing this? You're going to give yourself a heart attack." I said, "Well, no, I don't think so because it's the ailments that I have already are the one giving me a heart attack. So this is going to give me a break from it." But there was someone that came along and said that it wasn't my job to get involved in this. And I have to adhere to that thinking, otherwise I was going to get myself into trouble. I don't think anything's not my job, but if I'm overstepping my bounds, I expect to be told that I am doing that. This was more of a personal opinion by this individual, but I still remember it because this was a perfect opportunity of a project that, in my view, did not need a pilot. And for reasons that I expressed in letters and things, shouldn't have a pilot.
Sir, you're coming up on 5 minutes. Got a
Yeah,
minute.
I was
Take your
hoping to
time. I
get
just
it-
want to give you a
so-
heads up so you know
I'll-
you're at.
I'll put it up
As-
for now.
But as a professional and employee here, I'm gonna give Joe a little leniency there.
Well,
You're speaking as an employee right now?
yes, yeah, because what happens is theoretically, I'm supposed to listen to things because I am part of the municipal family. My quasi judicial nature of doing my job doesn't encroach on everything. It does give me some leeway to do what I got to do and not worry about repercussions. But there was some things in there that got to be bad. But I was going to keep it up anyway because this was the perfect one. This shouldn't have a pilot. Yes, Cerebral is going to tell somebody, some big billion-dollar corporation, that you can't have what you think you should have got. The fact of the matter is they don't need it. They built the project without any things of the taxes. And I haven't seen the report for the Phoenix, but if I do look at it, I'm sure there's a lot of things I may or may not disagree with, may agree with, and I should be able to bring that to you.
To us, yeah.
I was told that you have to ask me. If you don't ask me, I can't. Otherwise, I'm stepping out of my
I'm
bounds.
gonna say this to you, Joe. I say it all at all the meetings. I only got 4 left, and you can tell me and come to me anytime you want, and I want you to. And I want-
That's the key thing. You want me to, so that's why I'm going to be there.
And that's why I want you to come to me, and I want you to come, and if you see something as an employee of this borough and as the mayor right now is this borough, I value what you have to say, and I want to say thank you for, number one, your knowledge, your expertise, and your mathematical wizardry that you were able to turn around and work out with only 2 figures, the information that you were able to do. And as a language arts teacher, I don't even have a concept of what it is when you're talking about that equalization figure, but you've been doing this for so long. You were they tried to keep information away from you, and you still found a way to get it.
Well,
So thank you for that. And I'm sure the residents are thankful and grateful that you were in there to be able to look at those
Using
figures.
the equalized number the county made that same mistake in the report on 2040. I did bring that to their attention. They solved it with a quick fix because nobody really knows what the number was anyway. Nobody reads any of that stuff. I do because I look at this. And it has to have it the right way, otherwise you're coming up with the wrong numbers. And a factor of 2.5 plus is a big number for the
Did you
office.
hear that hit the back wall? Because that's what happened. Because that went right over my head for right now, but that's why you're in the position that you are, Joe. Let me say this, you'll be even a bigger hero to me if you find that JCP&L agreement.
Well, yeah, that's why I mentioned I may have it. But one quick thing, the Howard Cobb, who was the assessor before me, did the job for about 25 years. I've got him beat a little bit now because I'm in my 37th. But the last 70 years, we've only had 3 tax assessors, Phil McCutcheon, the first 5 or 10 years, and then Howard, and then me. So it's an elite group, but Howard was in on this kind of stuff too. And what he would say on the phone when he's talking to somebody is, forget him. I forgot more than he ever knew. And you had to keep from laughing because that's your boss telling somebody on the phone. But I'm at that point now, Mayor. I'm forgetting things, but I'm still ahead of some more, not Jay, but some people that, still know more. But thank you. And
Thanks,
thank you
Joe.
for all the kind words, everybody, because it was a little trying when I'm told I'm overstepping my bounds. Yes, I probably do because of quasi judicial thinking, but I'm doing it for Saraville. And you can tell me I'm wrong, but bring in the facts and figures. And when I can't get the report, how do I know what's in there?
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Young lady.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, members of the Board of Council. My name is Shola Coker. I'm actually a Republican committee member. I'm actually coming here on a different story. I know this is out of the whole situation. Now, we as a member of council, we supersede candidates and campaigns. So we used to have a candidate, her name is Eunice, may her soul rest in peace. I'm sorry, I'm actually bringing this up because I was away from the country when I heard she passed on. And I have tried to get through to the city, to the borough, to speak on her behalf, to know what's going on with her ward and what decisions have been made towards that, because we as the Republican committee members, we want to know if we still have that seat and if it's being represented and we will be able to represent our seats, because the seat also has its own council workers and also the campaign people that put together all of these who had to be a member of a council of this great borough. So I would like to speak to the mayor and the council members. If there's anything you could share with me, if it's filled, if it's open, we want to know if we're going to have a council representative. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So I will say this, you are speaking as a representative of the Republican Party, but I can tell you that the way in which Councilwoman Eunice's seat was in essence filled after her murder, you do have right now, Councilman Zabrowski is currently in her seat, which was filled when, what date was that, John?
It was within 15
Well,
days.
yeah,
of
within,
seeing
within that time, because that's part of that Republican process, because Councilwoman June was in fact a Republican councilwoman. So that falls into the party's hand to turn around and place for the remainder of her term. And currently what you, right?
No, not the remainder.
Well, until this year, until the next election, till, so what you have right now is running both on the Democratic side and the Republican side are three council candidates, because Councilwoman June's term has now reached that, well, he can't serve in the full term with with November coming, somebody has to run for that seat. Whoever wins, wins. It could be Democratic, could be Republican. It's a very bad way of explaining things to you, but I think I answered your question at this point. You really should, the Republican chair, Donna, is Karen still the Republican chair at this point?
Yes, she is for Cerebral Committee.
So I think that would probably be also your best course of action as well. You have Republican council people here. Councilman Roberts is a Republican, Councilman Zabrowski, Councilman Balka, and Council President Anoha, who's virtual. Those are your Republican cohorts, but your chairperson for Saraville would in essence be Karen Biebert, and she would probably be able to answer any more additional questions from a political perspective.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah,
maybe I
okay.
can add a couple more comments if possible.
That's the voice of our council president, Anoha. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Yep, I just want to appreciate the, our resident for reaching out for this information. And I think ultimately my additional comments would be to reach out, as you mentioned, Madam Mayor, to the Republican committee. I know a lot of folks, a lot of residents have had questions and concerns in the past about how the process went through. And I think it was difficulty having access to minutes, difficulty understanding what the process and procedures were. So I think ultimately reaching out to the committee, seeing what the minutes were and what took place in those meetings as to when the process took place to ultimately select I think Councilman Zabrowski at the top of their list to replace the current seat for Councilwoman June. And granted, maybe you were out the country or you weren't available, but I think that would be the appropriate course of action for you, so you have an idea of what took place and how the committee conducted their affairs to lead to where we are now.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank you
Councilman.
very much. I appreciate your question.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you. Ken, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mayor. Ken Olszewski, 108 North Edward Street. I have to say my pride and ego was a little bit wounded since I didn't get to speak until last, but mostly because of the fact of what I heard Councilwoman Roberts say, that the public hasn't had an opportunity to speak on the pilot and to have public feedback. I'm not quite sure what I am. I hope I'm part of the public. Maybe, Mayor, I know you know my history. You've heard it a lot. Maybe you can just quote it for us.
Hold
My
on, I have the
grandfather built
scroll.
the first town hall next door. So, yeah, I don't quite understand that. But again, the meetings are advertised. Every meeting here is advertised. The public's got a right to come. And the public's been talking about it on Facebook and then Sunnyside, the bakery and every place. So if they wanted to be here, they certainly could. But first of all, I want to congratulate the council on the vote on the pilot. I couldn't agree with them more, especially I congratulate Councilman Conti for bringing it up. He made the motion. And I want to say, like Mr. Robinson, I'm not against all pilots. I'm a capitalist by nature. And let me tell you, if you gave me another 5 minutes, I could quote you the history of Apple Computer from when I bought it at $10 a share, and it went down to $3, and it sat there for a couple of years, every CEO they had. So I know a little bit about capitalism, and I am a capitalist. However, I don't like it when somebody takes advantage of me. And I think that's what was happening here. Let's talk about the history of this pilot a little bit. First of all, from what I can find out from attorneys, I've never really heard it specifically from the borough attorney. I think if I ask it, but I believe the agreement on the pilot is supposed to be done before they break ground on the building. And let's remember what happened here. The reason, we didn't go by that, supposedly a former BA had this correspondence from Trammell Corona's desk. Well, the last time I heard anything like that, it was back in grade school when one of the kids said, the dog ate my homework. So that sounded pretty phony from day one. So there's a lot about this pilot that didn't really come forward to the people. And how long was it going to take? How long? We spent money with the consulting. How long was it going to take to have this discussion and take a vote on this pilot? We will let this 6 months, a year, 2 years. How long was this going to take? I think it certainly took long enough. And again, I congratulate the council. I think you made the right decision. All pilots are not a bad thing, but this one, it had a bad odor to it. We're talking about a company worth a lot of money, and pilots are not for us. They're not for us to pull somebody out of a problem that they've made. You want me to tell you about some of the decisions I made on stock over the years? I've been in the market for 60 years. I didn't come here and ask my taxes be reduced to help me out. No, if you bought something and you made a bad decision on it, you have to eat it. If the Club Pure down here, the owner came and it's too bad. He made a bad decision. Maybe you got to find, it's a highway property. I'm sure he'll find somebody who will come along, and eventually that's how capitalism works. And it's a great system. There's a lot of flaws in it, but it's better than any other system in the world. Okay, I'll be done in a minute. And so the content of this pilot, which we never really knew because it was apparently only between who we hired, and we have to pay a bill for that, and the BA. So that was all right. I think he did a great job. And you know who the winners are tonight for that decision? The winners are the public. They're the taxpayers of this town. And another thing, which Councilman Condi brought up about kids in school, I'm not a shill for the Board of Ed. Believe me, there's a lot of things the Board of Ed does that I don't like at all. But I can tell you, it is only fair that they do get their portion of these taxes. And the final thing is, we say, all this construction going on, there's gonna be no kids. The deal going on in Melrose, I understand there are gonna be 3-bedroom units over there. There's going to be no kids. That sounds like another fantasy story. So good job. I thank everybody and have a great evening.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you very much. Just goes to show you, bipartisanship is a win for everyone. When you can turn around and get people to work together, you can accomplish great things. And that's the vein, and that's really what needs to happen, no matter who's sitting up here. You have to work together, and you have to remember who you're here working for. And that's for the residents. That's for the taxpayers. And you saw that happen here. And I'm proud to sit in the middle of that right now. And I think that's happened quite a few times over the last couple of years, not as often as I would like, but it has occurred. And when it has, it's been a big win for the town. Jim, your turn.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't mean to slight the business administrator who isn't here when I said Chris Christie might be the only one disappointed that the pilot didn't go through. But I did want to ask a couple more questions about the warehouses themselves. And through you, Mayor, I'd asked the engineer. I talked to Mr. Mealy at the last meeting, and he told me they were ready to go. They were ready to rent. In fact, he had somebody lined up and lost that tenant. I know that Mr. Kupch was down there looking around and they're pretty much set. My question is this, there were certain infrastructure things that they were required to do, some road widenings and adjustment to lights and things like that. Have those things taken place?
Have they been done yet, Jay?
Planning board required signal timing revisions, as you recall. That has not been done. The county required intersection improvements at Bordentown and Cheesequake. That has not been done. Whether the county will recommend a CO be issued without those signalization improvements, I don't know.
Well, you know, we just talked about the public.
Yeah.
In the midst of COVID in August, this room was packed with people who didn't want that warehouse and made sure that certain things, and in my opinion, not enough, and I'm not going to go through that the planning board didn't hire an independent traffic consultant as they should have for that. I've said that over and over, but we were told certain things would be done before they open, before trucks are on the road. Well, things aren't done. So I would hope that a C of O can't be issued until all of the conditions of that resolution of approval are complied with.
Mayor, they'll have to be complied with.
They have to be.
Indicated that a CO is going to be issued without them being addressed. You asked the current status. I told you the status.
Okay. So that we know, the CFO cannot be issued without all measures of the conditions.
Whatever conditions were in the borough's resolution will need to be addressed.
What we don't, but because some of these conditions require the county assistance, because we're talking about the road widenings and so forth. Now, the county can't turn around and unilaterally just say, oh, well, we're not going to do those and they can open. They still have to comply with our terms.
That's my understanding. I think it was indicated at the last meeting, they're ready to go with the improvements. They're just waiting on some pre-work and
Oh,
materials
so
to
the
be
county's
delivered.
ready to go.
No. The developer is constructing the signalization improvement.
Okay.
He indicated he's ready to get started with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I would hope we would all agree that with these improvements, that project is going to be, and its impact on the roads is going to be a nightmare. So they shouldn't be allowed to do anything until all of those conditions are complied with. That's number one. Number two, talking about the public knowing. I opened things and they were denied and things were sent to me redacted and the tax assessor didn't get an unredacted report. Now that this issue has been defeated, is there an appeal process that is possible? And are those things no longer, is it no longer necessary to redact those things? And can those things be given, first of all, to the tax assessor, who knows a little bit about this, and then to other members of the public who have an interest? Because I got an awful lot of things and black lines through most of them.
The vote is,
I don't
Are
handle
you-
the Oprahs, so I don't feel comfortable opining on
Okay.
that.
And I don't expect an answer
Yeah.
tonight.
so
But-
that, I think that is a question that we can put forward to, we'll have Sean take
Yeah,
a look at that at this
and
point.
respectfully, quickly, because I want that information.
I will say Sean does
Okay.
usually move pretty quickly, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, this is a matter of public interest.
Yeah, the need
So,
for
I'll be
confidentiality no
curious
longer
to see
exists.
whatever
It's
the
been
law
voted on.
is. So whatever that law is in regards to redaction and now being able to be disclosed to public, I'll be curious to hear what that opinion is too.
Okay,
We'll
well,
get
maybe
that
I'll
legal.
submit my Oprah request just in case, so that,
Doesn't delay.
so that it's
Yeah.
not delayed.
The
So,
best process is
Yeah.
to
okay, thank you
use the
very
Oprah
much.
process.
Thanks, Jim.
Appreciate it. And really, a great night because of the bipartisanship, because of the pilot vote night. Thank you, Councilman and Councilwoman who seconded, and because of the open space. So this was a good night for the town.
Good night. I agree. I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't see anybody else from the public that wishes to speak is in person. If I'm wrong, stand up. If not, I see nobody online either, so I can entertain a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Well, yeah, we'll do roll call. Now you want to do all in favor?
Second.
Any,
Recess, please, Mayor.
yes, please. Oh, stretch my back out a little bit here. For our second meeting, we'll begin with a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Statement of publication again, please, Jess?
Take notice that this agenda meeting of the mayor and council being held this 10th day of October 2023 has been advertised and posted in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Here.
Conti.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Noha.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Zabrowski.
Okay, we're gonna go under general discussion and Jess, you're gonna handle all these, right? Or do you want our business administrator
There's
to
a
handle all
lot.
of these?
No, this is all, no, this is
one
me.
goes
You
to
just go
Jess.
under
You go-
Glenn.
You're
This is just
okay.
Jess.
You're good.
We'll nudge you when it's your turn.
Okay.
Authorization for the clerk to advertise for the RFPs for professional services for the upcoming year 2024.
Yes. I know, I'm jumping in already. Can we have those delivered on thumb drives instead of the giant boxes as an option?
I'm going to, well, I have to keep an original. I'm probably gonna ask for like at least 3 copies.
Okay,
And also to have them, give me a thumb drive and then I'll just email them
Oh, thank you, God.
to you.
that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Good suggestion.
So. Okay, authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Tom's Ford for the purchase of 2023 Ford Bronco, an amount not to exceed $36,186.26. Authorization to purchase 2023 Chevy Tahoe through ESCNJ contract in an amount not to exceed $50,092.70. Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Drive Square, Inc. for the purchase of an impaired driving simulator in an amount not to exceed $27,400. Authorization to award a contract to Yorktel through NJ State Contract for OEM conference room upgrade for an estimated amount of $34,466.72. Authorization to purchase turnout gear from Skylands Area Fire Equipment through NJ State Contract in an amount not to exceed $66,670.08. Authorization to amend 17-3 of the revised general ordinances to include pickleball. Application for a special event received from St. Stanislaus Custa RC Church to hold a car show on October 29th, rain date November 5th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Morehouse Engineering for propriety iFix SCADA software in an amount not to exceed $44,814. That's it for me.
Okay, moment.
Is that on?
Business administrator's report, please.
Authorization to appoint 2 police officers in the police department effective October 23rd, 2023, pending the completion of all pre-employment requirements. Authorization to appoint Talia Jimenez Morelos as part-time custodial worker in the Department of Public Works effective October 16th, 2023.
That does it for you. We're gonna have to have you back. We're gonna go over to Denise, please.
Authorization to refund SRO funds to Hercules LLC for Ashland in the amount of $27,222.36. And in your packet was the 2022 best practice, 2023 best practice inventory. We received a score of 38, and that's great news. So we will not have any of our aid withheld.
Wow.
That's our report.
Thank you. Jay, nothing today? All right, thanks, Jay. Borough Attorney, Sal?
None, Mayor.
Excellent. No need for executive session. Anybody left from the public that just wants to say hello? Great, wonderful. Oh, I do.
Wait, there's more.
It's RRAM. I can hear you. You just need to state your name and address for the record. Never mind. Oh, are you there? You have to unmute, unfortunately. I can't hear you yet, so.
Ruth Ann Mahoney, 2 Gerard
Oh,
Place.
Ruth Ann. Okay.
Hello. How's
Hello.
everyone?
Hi, Ruth.
Hi. I know it's the wrong, in between time, but I had the wrong computer on. Just want to say thank you to the council members who voted against the pilot. Thank you, Mr. Conti, for bringing it forward. It reinforces I think, some confidence to the public that you are looking out for us. And as far as community and individuals not being there to give their opinion, Ms. Roberts, I think we don't need to be there in numbers, but we're out there. And we do care and we do understand and we do educate ourselves. So I want to, once again, thank you all for that vote. And it does reinforce some confidence. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth Ann. It's good to see you. Have a good night.
You too.
Take care. All right, I don't see anybody else from the public wish to speak, so
Motion to close the public.
all in favor, roll call for this one, sorry.
No.
No.
Oh, all in favor? Okay.
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go in peace.